So today I'm going to be doing a product feature video on KOYORAD's new lineup of oil coolers, and I'm going to be doing this because I feel like it's one of those things that's really overlooked when people build their cars. They tend to not really get oil coolers, and I'm going to explain to you why you probably should. Now, as you know, in drifting, it's a pretty common occurrence to your engine overheating or just getting to an extremely high operating temperature, and that's just because you're lacking so much direct airflow to the radiator. And so what ends up happening is not only your water temperature gets high, but your engine oil temp gets high. So what ends up happening is that when your engine oil temp gets that high, your oil just becomes essentially like water. And when that happens, you can, basically say goodbye to all the internals of your engine. Now, in order to sort out that issue, you can run an oil cooler. And so what the oil cooler does, obviously, is it cools your engine oil. And when you cool your engine oil, you can go out there and do more runs. And obviously, as you know, if you've ever been to a drift event before, there's usually like a run group. And so if you do consistent runs over and over and over again, you're gonna get to that point where your engine oil temp is just too high and you're gonna have to end up taking a cool down lap. Now, when you take that cool down lap, that's one lap that you're not getting of track time. So when you run an oil cooler and you bring your engine oil temps down and you're monitoring all the temperatures of all the liquids and fluids on your car, you can go out there and do more runs. And then when you're getting more runs, you're getting more seat time, you're getting more for your money on the track. You're not wasting time basically having to drive around, just cooling off your car because it's getting too hot. So now that we've gotten the reasons over why you should run an oil cooler, I'm gonna tell you about this product, which is KOYORAD's new lineup of oil coolers. Of course, it has a nice little black finish over here, so it looks super sleek. On top of that, it has Dash 10 AN fittings on it. So you run all your Dash 10 fittings right there. You can run all your lines to your little sandwich adapter, if you will, or whatever setup you have going on your car. Now, when you buy the oil cooler, you get it just as the oil cooler you see here. And the reason for that is there's just way too many different varieties of setups that you can run on different cars. So it's really all up to you on how you want to plumb this system into your car, where you want to place it, how you want to adapt it to get oil. So that's basically just a heads up on that. Now, these come in 4 different sizes, so usually you can find whichever one you want. The biggest size holds an extra 0.5 quarts of oil. The 2 middle sizes hold an extra 0.47 quarts of oil, and then the smallest size holds an extra 0.28 quarts of oil. Now, the specific model that I have right here is one of the middle ones, which holds 0.47 quarts of oil. Okay, now one of the main things that I want to stress is to get a high quality oil cooler. Now, it's all up to you on what oil cooler you want to get. Me, after all, I support KOYORAD, and that's just because it's a high quality product. For this instance, you kind of do get what you pay for, because I've seen other oil cooler setups and other radiators and other stuff like that, and really the quality of KOYORAD is up there. And the big thing for an oil cooler is you have to realize that that's carrying your engine oil. This system right here is running the oil that's running to your engine. So realize that if you cheap out on your oil cooler, you get something generic, you get something no name, and there ends up being a malfunction in this, there ends up being a manufacturer defect with this, you're potentially starving your engine of all the engine oil. It's either, sometimes it'll leak, sometimes maybe a piece, just because the finish on this thing, there'll be a piece of metal that ends up getting sucked into the engine. So this, in my mind, is really one of those things that I'd want to get from a reputable company, just because it has such an important role with your engine, and engines are expensive to replace, and oil coolers aren't that expensive. Also, just a heads up, when you're running these in your car, you can actually buy separate thermostats for them. So they're like thermostats for your oil. So what that does is when you turn on your car and you're starting it up in the morning, it doesn't circulate fully through the oil cooler, and that helps get the operating temperature of your engine oil up. But then once it gets to operating temperature and it starts going over, then the thermostat will open and cycle through the oil cooler. So you'll still be able to warm up your engine, but then once it gets to the warmed up temperature, you can actually keep it down. So if you want to do that setup as well, you can get an oil thermostat and run that in your whole line setup. There's not really too much else to talk about on these. You can go to KOYORADracing.com if you want to get more specs on the dimensions of these, how much they carry, a little bit more about the product. Oh, also another thing is these are all pressure tested and deformation tested. But yeah, super simple product feature. Just thought I'd let you know, especially if you're here in Southern California. Tracks get over 100 degrees in the summer. You want to be going out there, getting as much runtime as possible, and keeping your engine safe. So, oil coolers. Okay.